What's up, guys? Here with you with FC Wonderkid, episode 71. Here with my guy, Brenton. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing a lot better than the VAR operators out there. I have never seen more close calls in one weekend of football than I saw. And we could talk about it for 2 hours, but there's so much else going on. But first, I got to ask you, how are you doing after that transfer window? You tired? You Fabrizio tired? Or are you just Alex Bryce tired?
I'm not tired, man, because I'm ready to go here with another weekly podcast. And people, do not forget to smash that like button because we want to see highlights in this podcast. And if we get to 500, what? Thank you for that like. And if we get to 500, we might need to do a bold giveaway in the wraps. So yes, Ajax. Ooh, I'm thinking Anthony now. Man United against Arsenal. 3-1. That was a bold start. And Anthony got his goal from his first game at Man United. And the impact is clear as day. But I want to say, big shout out to the fullbacks at Man United. And if you want to be a modern day winning team, you gotta have really good fullbacks. And Erik ten Hag has Malacia that is balling out at the left, and he has Diogo Dalot that is showing levels at that right side. Mourinho got it right by getting Dalot for 20 million some years back. Keep on going, bull, Dalot. What a player now.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, Dalot has obviously been one of the biggest beneficiaries of ten Hag's, entry into Manchester United as it stands. He has looked a level above what he's ever looked for United, or for that brief moment he was an AC Milan player. But let me tell you this, the person that deserves the plaudits today in that United win over Arsenal has to be, for me, Marcus Rashford. Okay? He had 2 goals, 1 assist. He was looking like he was having more fun than he has ever had, at least in the last 2 seasons, on that pitch. And he was patient with that assist to Antony, right? Where he drew in the 2 center backs and then boom, dinked it in, and Antony just finished it perfectly far post. And then he was absolutely clinical in that breakaway finish, essentially.
The Bruno pass.
That Bruno pass, and Christian Eriksen as well. But I think Marcus Rashford has deserved, and he's maybe deserved a little bit of a beating from Manchester United fans over the last several years. He has not looked that same electric Marcus Rashford that we're used to, but it was so nice seeing this side of him. And if it takes that, an Arsenal game, an unbeaten Arsenal game, and an Arsenal team that looked up for it, for sure, if it takes that to bring out the best in Rashford, the guy's only 24, and if he can continue to do this, then maybe they don't need a 9 moving forward. Maybe they got one.
Fudge. And for England too, man. Harry Kane's there. But if Rashford's doing these games and these type of matches, he's definitely pushing himself, to go to that Man United team. And I agree, 2 goals, 1 assist, and it's how he attacks the space. And I fully believe it's the arrival of Antony that adds the quality to that Man United team. Antony has elevated the attack of Man United. Sancho's much more free. Rashford is with intense attacking space. And Bruno Fernandes has more than 2 options. He has now 3. Antony is a clear upgrade from Elanga. I love Elanga as a role player being on the bench, but Antony, Sancho, Rashford, I think that's the trio. And I love seeing Ronaldo now accepting that role that for Erik ten Hag was very difficult for him to put Ronaldo on the bench, and that was the right decision. And I'm dying to see, with Martial here too. Yes, it was the right decision with Ronaldo to be on the bench, in my opinion. Okay. No preseason. His mindset wasn't thinking about Man United, and he must have had a lot of chat from George Minch too. And now I think that chat is gone, and I think he can focus on Man United. And I'll be honest, man, Man United fans have reasons to be excited. And I'm going to say this, man. I legitimately believe if Lisandro Martinez wasn't right now at Man United, I'm sure they wouldn't be the team that they are now, right now. Because Lisandro Martinez puts that motivation and squad unity through the roof. This is a full team player, and he clearly motivates Dalot. He motivates Bruno. The whole team backs him, and Varane backs him, a world-class player. So for Maguire, like, for the sign of getting a yellow card straight when he leaves the bench, I think that says it all. And even seeing him with that captaincy role, seeing everyone perform at the high level, and seeing him with the captaincy role, for me, Maguire, it just wasn't right. Personally, in my opinion. But Lisandro Martinez and Varane have elevated, again, another players. And the transfer window of Man United, Erik ten Hag, you got a plus. A plus, in my opinion. You're
right, and they've yet to lose, and you've been saying it for some time, but I do have to say one thing. Between Lisandro Martinez and Antony, those two have showed more passion for the badge, for the Manchester United badge, in the few minutes that they have played for Manchester United, than a lot of this Manchester United squad have shown over the last few tumultuous seasons. So they definitely deserve a whole lot of credit for coming in, whether they're playing for Ten Hag or they're playing for Manchester United or they're playing for both. It is very clear that they are 100% intense. And it is wonderful to see. And in the end, it might be worth the money that we were talking about. We were, that's too much, this, too much. And 100% on me on always focusing on the financial tag of things. But when it comes down to it, it is very apparent that they are ready to bleed for this club, and that's kind of all you can ask for the moment they get there.
And we still don't know, like, Ronaldo's thoughts, but I fully believe that Ronaldo's going to say that he wasn't expecting Casemiro to arrive at Man United, and Antony too. Like, maybe Antony could have been expected because, yes, Antony had that intent, but United still paid a big fee that had doubts, 100 million. And Casemiro, there was no news. So I think Ronaldo could have been convinced with that, but I think time will tell. But people, tell us in the comment section down below your thoughts about Man United and about the game. And the first loss of Arsenal too, we had to say. Like, Arsenal didn't play bad too. Like, Martinelli had some really good runs, really good moments. But again, I'm going to highlight how good defensive-wise Lisandro Martinez is. And they managed to be a team defending such a good, strong forward unit of Arsenal. Sheesh.
I'm with you. And that Martinelli goal getting called back by VAR, I mean, you could basically say that might have been a momentum killer or whatever you want to call it. But that was kind of the tip of the spear for me this particular weekend. So we can probably use that VAR schedule of bad decisions to move on to our next game.
Yes.
I'm not entirely sure which one you want to go to, but I would imagine talking about...
Let's say which one?
Chelsea?
Yes.
We'll go Chelsea. Okay. All right. Well, with Chelsea, first we have to bring up, before we get to the VAR decision, we have to bring up the fact that Reece James is about to get paid. And I mean well paid. Todd Boehly is about to extend him for another, 5-6 years, I think till 2028. They're about to make him the most expensive defender in Chelsea history.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, and you're right, absolutely. 22 years old. So I got to bring up the good before I bring up kind of how they almost should have been equalized for Maxwell Cornet's,
and Borja
finale.
And Borja.
Yeah.
Borja got that extension. Right. I was shook when I saw Todd Boehly sitting next to Borja. And I got to say, Armand Borja extending with Chelsea. What a twist and the right decision, man. I love it. The Albanian striker staying, and he can prove himself in the club that he loves. So, Armand Broja, big shout out to him with that one. At Chelsea, we got to start with the man. A goal and an assist for Ben Chilwell. The best way to compete with Cucurella. I got to say, that touch of Ben Chilwell in his goal, it levels, okay? So Ben Chilwell, understandably so, one of the most expensive left backs in the history of the game, and now Cucurella too, even more expensive, 10 million. So 110 million at left backs. So they got to score those goals. They got to be involved. Thomas Tuchel.
Absolutely. If you pay money for him, you want to see him involved. And we also Aubameyang's response to Chilwell's goal, and he thought he was, he thought he might have been watching not Rafinha. I was about to say Dembele or something in the box. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, I told you from the beginning, Todd Boehly is not afraid to spend money. Okay? He is going to treat this, and he absolutely is treating Chelsea like he would treat a Major League Baseball team that he currently owns. Okay? He knows two things: big, splashy moves and long, lucrative contracts. Okay? And if you look at the amount of money that they have spent, they have met both of those tick marks, right? They've ticked them off because you've got Koulibaly, and you've got Sterling, and you've got Cucurella, and you've got Fofana, and Aubameyang, Slonina, Zakaria, Kazade, Chukwuemeka, and now you've got Reece James, Broja extension, and who's next? Mason Mount is next. He's going to get paid as well. So Todd Boehly is going to continue to act like this as long as he's seeing progress on the field, and their turnaround in that game versus West Ham, very much so thanks to Chile, but their turnaround in that game was inspiring. But I do also feel like West Ham, struggling to get a point here, they really feel hard done by that foul on Edouard Mendy in those final minutes that VAR called back that Cornet goal. So in the end, just because you spend the money doesn't mean it translates to the field. But time will tell in this particular case. And it seems like they're doing the right things and bringing in the right types of people now, making less mistakes than they had previously. But yeah.
And going with what you said, like there's a rumor by Fabrizio Romano that after that Southampton game, Chelsea were going to spend 50 million, or at least they had a verbal agreement with Southampton for Romeo Lavia. And this man had just moved to Southampton. And Chelsea, Thomas Tuchel rumoredly really wanted Romeo Lavia. And that shows the talent that this kid is coming out from that Man City academy that keeps on delivering. Romo Lavia. Remember the name. This is going to be another bold one, man. The Aribo, too, that just went there, too. I expect good things about him. Midfielder.
Absolutely. And Manchester City probably has a sell-on fee of some sort with Southampton, so they would have made a pretty penny. They also have a buyback. I think the buyback was right around 40 million, which is why I think Boehly went in with 50 from the get-go. But yes, Romeo Lavia has been phenomenal in his first few games for Southampton. Samuel Edozie, who was signed on the deadline day, also for Manchester City, he actually looked pretty bright in his short cameo for Southampton. They also signed Juan Larios. I believe he's a fullback, also for Manchester City. And then they also signed Bazunu. So you've got, 40 million that Southampton spent on 4 Manchester City players. And they've made enough of an impact so far that you've got Chelsea coming in not even a month later saying, get me this player, here's $50 million. It's crazy.
But with Chelsea, I just want to give a quick shout out to Thiago Silva that keeps on delivering, and in no doubt in my mind is the best center back at Chelsea. Koulibaly's there, and he might prove himself better than Thiago Silva middle of the season, but right now at the start, Thiago Silva is showing his experience at Chelsea, and what a role he has. So Chelsea are very, very lucky to have a player like him at the back. Woo! When Rudiger leaves too. So I had to say that one. So people, put down below your thoughts about Chelsea and about this Todd Boehly era. Will they conquer Europe with Todd Boehly? And will Thomas Tuchel be the coach conquering Europe with Todd Boehly? As it seems, let's see what's gonna happen. But we mentioned City fast, and I gotta say this because Champions League football still hasn't even started, and Haaland is already banging mad goals in his season. And Haaland has 10 goals in six games, okay? Haaland is unbelievable and generational talent. Any doubter cannot be no more. Haaland is generational Ballon d'Or contender in the near future, and let's see where he's going to stop this season, because if he wants, he can go to the very top. So let's wait and see. Erling Haaland, man.
Absolutely. And at the age of 22, Erling Haaland already has scored 14 hat tricks.
Hey.
Do you know how many both Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi had at the age of 22?
I have no idea.
I think it's like 1.
Oh, not shook about that.
Crazy.
But Messi was
crazy.
Levels. Messi was levels.
I get it. It's a convenience stat, right? We're not necessarily comparing him yet, but obviously at the age of 22, Erling Haaland is doing things that, to be honest, has not been seen in this game.
Agreed.
At that age, right? So, and maybe like it brings a Ronaldo to mind, Ronaldo Nazario,
or Mbappe.
But Erling Haaland, or Mbappe, obviously. So I'm stoked to see if it continues.
Mm-hmm.
I am stoked to hopefully see him remain healthy. And it's just amazing to me that there are still people that thought it wasn't going to happen. But 10 goals in 6 games in Manchester City right now looks they look ready to repeat. But that's about all you got to say.
Well, Aston Villa though, they still managed to get a result, and all those Stevie G, like we still have doubts with Stevie G. Supposedly, I've seen a lot of news that Tyrone Mings isn't a big fan of Stevie G. So let's wait and see what happens at Aston Villa. And I gotta shout out with Bernard Silva staying at Man City. This team of Man City is the best team that Guardiola has to win a Champions League, in my opinion. The defense is sorted. The midfield is looking mad scary, especially keeping Bernard Silva. And now they have a generational talent that is a huge variable in today's game. That is Erling Haaland, just like Lewandowski at Barca. Haaland is that type of player. And Benzema at Real Madrid. Gotta shout him out. Ballon d'Or winner too. So this is my opinion. But if you agree, people, tell me, is this the best team of Man City in recent history? Has there been a better chance for Guardiola to win a Champions League? And if he doesn't win the Champions League, what happens to Guardiola? Do you think he stays even more, Breton?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I feel like he has to stay until he gets that Champions League title, or they're going to force him out. But at the same time, where does Pep go beyond that?
Exactly. It's national team, maybe. I'd love to see him. I know it was just rumors, but Brazil national team with Pep Guardiola, that would be beautiful. That would be joga bonito in real life. It'd be beautiful, in my opinion, especially with the amount of wingers that Brazil has nowadays. We mentioned Anthony and Martial, Martinelli. With the Arsenal Man United, so but tell us your thoughts about Pep Guardiola too in the near future. But yes, we got another world-class manager in the Premier League with Conte, and Conte keeps on bagging results with consistency. And I gotta shout this out because I want to say to the viewers, Son isn't playing bad football, but the stat sheet isn't showing up because Son has 6 games, 0 goals, and 1 assist. But Tottenham still keep on winning because they got Richarlison now there doing what he's got to do and being prolific and creating a bunch of chances. And he's one of the best players already at Tottenham. So for Conte, beautiful.
And there will be plenty of fixtures that Son will need to step up for, so that his 20 goals a year across all competition record is not threatened in any way, shape, or form. But there are some people out there that are literally saying the same thing about Son, although he hasn't scored any goals. But they're saying the same thing about Karim Benzema. Only 4 goals, right? Or only 4 goal involvements in 4 games. He's not as good as he was or whatever. There's a lot of people actually saying that online.
They're waffling.
There are plenty of fixtures to come. And obviously from a Real Madrid perspective, going off on a tangent here, October 16th, I cannot wait for that because that's the first Clasico. That's the first Super Clasico. But anyway, back to the Prem because you did mention, yes, Spurs. That's great. But who's up there with Spurs still? Who's up there with Spurs? They just lost to Fulham. And I thought when you were saying that's great manager, I thought you were telling me about Graham Potter.
Great manager too. I gotta say, it's true.
Would you say Graham Potter's not a world-class manager at this point?
I won't say he's a world-class manager because I'll only say that after Champions League football, maybe, and maybe national team level showing insane levels. But I'd say Graham Potter, in my opinion, is the best English manager nowadays, in my opinion, with what he's doing. Tactician-wise, I am shook with how Brighton's playing and how the management off the pitch is. Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful.
And they're playing wonderful football. Okay, they're playing absolutely wonderful football. And if you have not watched Moises Caicedo and Alexis McAllister and Leandro Trossard and what they've been doing for this team that everybody looks at and kind of always underestimates, they are playing some of their best football right now, and I honestly believe that they are only getting started. I believe Moises Caicedo, when you look at him, everything is tangible when you see it. He's strong, he's fast, he's agile, he's really good on the ball. But when you look at Alexis McAllister, who's only 23, who had 2 goals in a 5-2 demolition of Brendan Rodgers' Leicester City, he is just as good. He is very, very good at the role that Potter has given him. I believe Brighton is only going to get better this particular season. I really want them to be, because we need to freshen up that top 6. Do we not?
Fact. And then we see a Billy Gilmour that we always say he needs a chance at Chelsea. And then I see Thomas Tuchel saying that's the best decision. I think, honestly, that Billy Gilmour deserved a chance in the first team at Chelsea this season too. And I think at Brighton, he's going to show those levels, because Billy Gilmour is a player of intangibles, and you can't find a lot of players that do what he does. That ball conduction, that in-game IQ. He is the future of Scotland midfield, 100%, Billy Gilmour. So I'd like to see that player too at Brighton. And Lamptey, man, being on the bench just shows how stacked, okay, Brighton really is. And again, they're stacked because Graham Potter manages to buy a lot of players on a cheap. Like Caicedo was a bargain deal right now looking back. So yeah, I understand the management. And you mentioned Leicester. And I gotta say, Brendan Rodgers and Leicester are 5 losses in a row. And this is a clear consequence of no transfers this offseason, okay? And like, they should have signed quality, especially when you let go of Kasper Schmeichel, a club icon. No one understands what's happening, and I sure expect in January the Foxes to go bold in their window. If I'm not going to say they want to stay in the Prem, because that is still, I still got to believe in Brendan Rodgers, because he is a good manager, but he's lost the grip. Yeah. So I'm sure
they're bottom of the table, man. And I know it's early this season, but unless Rodgers has something up his sleeve, he's got Aston Villa and he's got Spurs next. Ooh. Aston Villa is going to be chomping at the bit to get a win. True. And Spurs obviously looks dangerous. So I don't know. I honestly do believe I might be ready to put a little money on Brendan Rodgers being the first to go. Okay, the first.
Scott Parker, though. Scott Parker.
Oh, but that. Okay, the first in a club that was expected to maybe be top half of the table to go. Okay, not a relegation fodder type situation. He just doesn't seem to have any answers right now. It was nice to see Patson Daka get a goal. It was nice to see him be the best player on the pitch for them. But ultimately, what they're working with right now, I think Rodgers is losing it. True. I really do. I think he's losing that team. But yeah, there's plenty of others to talk about right now.
And I love that Daka mentioned, especially when Vardy is getting old. And when Jamie Vardy retires, it's definitely going to be felt at Leicester, even without now Kasper Schmeichel too. So put down below in the comment section what you think about Leicester. Will Brendan Rodgers get sacked? Or will he save the game? Will save the day against Aston Villa. But yes, mentioning sacking season, maybe there's a manager that redeemed himself. Maybe again a derby, a Merseyside derby, and we had Everton drawing against Liverpool. That I'm gonna say Liverpool deserved a win in my opinion, but Pickford going bold and getting 7 saves inside the box and 8 saves in general in that Merseyside derby. Pickford always seems to go bold when he's most needed. So I got to give a shout out to Pickford, man of the match. But Liverpool, balls on the post too. Liverpool deserved to win that one. Oosh.
But I almost need to push back on this a little bit because I have never been one to buy into the conspiracy theory that Liverpool gets all the VAR decisions, right? Live VAR pool, right? Live VAR pool. I have not been one to buy into that. This was one of the first games that I looked at and I'm like, what is happening here? Connor Cody did not look offsides to me. It's one of those situations where when you utilize VAR, it should be a massive mistake that is overturned. It should not be a fractional thing that can be construed differently by another VAR person when it comes down to it. I just don't understand why we're using VAR the way it's being overused, essentially. It's being used in pretty much every facet of the game. We saw it with the, a Christian Eriksen foul leading up to Martinelli's beautiful goal. We saw it with Maxwell Cornet scoring the equalizer and Mendy getting hit, right? Getting fouled. We saw it in the Newcastle game where a Newcastle player was literally pushed in to the goalkeeper, and yet the resulting own goal from Tyrick Mitchell was called back. And we saw it here. Connor Cody put that ball in the back of the net. And yes, if he was a whisker offside, fine. But is that really what we're using VAR for? No. Is all of this what we're using VAR for? It pisses me off because in a Merseyside derby, you look at how much it meant to that team. I felt at moments that Everton was actually going to make out or deserved the 3 points in this particular game. And that Van Dijk tackle, did not look kosher to me. But ultimately, it just seems very circumspect. It seems very weird when VAR gets to be used. Again, not going conspiracy theory here, not saying it favors all the top 6 clubs, but ultimately when it comes down to it, there needs to be a strict understanding of when and why the dang thing is used. Because if you over-litigate every game, it gets tiresome, and frankly, it kills the game. I feel
like the best way, I agree with a lot you said, that VAR is overused, and for me, we should listen to the conversation of the referee with the VAR refs. We should listen to the logic that is being said and to make those decisions in football that can make a difference. And the audience deserves to know it, in my opinion. So I think that would solve it, just knowing what's happening in the cabin, talking to the ref. But I agree, it is being overused. But people, I want to know the thoughts of the FC Wonderkid community on this one. Do you agree with VAR? Do you think we should banish VAR? Or what should happen? Should we limit it more? I agree. I think limiting more would be the best way to go. And a lot of good pointers there, Bretson. In my opinion.
And last thing I got to say about that Merseyside derby, if you are not on the Amadou Onana train, which I was not when they spent the amount of money, there is room on my train, okay? Get on the hype train for Amadou Onana because in 3 games or so, he has impressed me more. There is such a high ceiling on him. I think Everton has a gem there.
True. And the difference, I think he's the player we were telling relegation battle maybe for Everton, and he's improved and elevated the level of that Everton squad. So exciting ties. And I'm going to mention here in the Premier League, the last thing on my end is Mitrović. I got to mention Fulham here with those not excellent results, but showing the promise and better expectations than many were putting in this Premier League season. And Mitrović has 49 goals, in 49 league games for Fulham. That is insane levels, and understandably, he's the Serbian national team top goal scorer too. So I have high expectations for Mitrović in the World Cup, and Mitrović is only beaten in goals in the Prem this season by Erling Haaland, So that is a hell of a stat to start. And Mitrović, we might see him getting a move in January, a big money move, because Fulham, they might need to sell, and a lot of teams need a striker. So I'm just pushing it out there, because a World Cup, a big showing, something can happen. So yeah, 6 goals in the last 6 Premier League games too. Just want to say, Mitrović.
I can't wait. I can't wait to talk about Serbia in the upcoming World Cup, because this is the best the best collection of talent that they've ever had, without being so deficient in certain positional areas that it really has got people excited. And I know we don't want to get people too excited, but Serbia is looking good. Anyway, if you're going to bring up Aleksandar Mitrović, I'm going to raise you and bring up Ivan Toney, okay? Because, man, he showed his quality versus Leeds. And, okay, there was a Crescencio Somerville potential foul that Jesse Marsch got sent off for, blah, blah, blah. Ultimately, Ivan Toney was the difference maker in this particular game. And then I went back and I looked at it, and you just threw out a bunch of numbers for Mitrović. Ivan Toney has scored 100 goals in his last 4 seasons. Okay? 100 goals in his last 4 seasons. Half of those seasons have been in the Prem. Okay? And how he did it, it was a well-executed hat trick. He chipped, after a giveaway in the back, he chipped Ilan Meslier. He had that beautiful free kick, and then he added a penalty kick, I believe, of which I believe he's also 18 for 18 in a Brentford short in penalties.
No misses. Ivan Toney.
Yeah. So if you're talking about another player that is hyping his own self up for a big move in the future, but will not feature in the World Cup, Ivan Toney's your man, because you can get him, and then you can also bring him into your team while everybody else is playing a certain international tournament we're all going to have our eyes on. So I 100% expect people to go in big for Ivan Toney this winter, and that game just proved it for me. It was beautiful. Well done.
Ivan Toney, man, and the development too. And I saw a question, and he was asked, would you play at Liverpool or any other team with more minutes guaranteed? He said, I'll play for Liverpool, and I would guarantee those minutes. So Ivan Toney believes a lot in himself. So the next move out of Brentford, I have high expectations for him too. But I'm excited to see where he goes. But people, put down below, where do you think Ivan Toney, Brentford striker, will go next? Because he has shown intentions that he wants to leave Brentford in the past, and he has the levels to play in a higher team in the Premier League. So everything in the Prem, we have everything, Breton.
I just want to feel bad for Wolves for 1 second, because they signed a player 4 days ago. Oh my God, they signed a player 4 days ago, and he goes down with an ACL injury. Sasa Kalajdzic will be out pretty much the whole season, just like he was out the whole of last season. And now you ready for who they're bringing in, potentially?
And Wolves, that was the striker.
But are you ready for who they're bringing in?
Who are they bringing in?
Diego Costa.
Oh, I like that. I like how Wolves is doing things. That's a good business. I like Diego Costa to Wolves. Personally.
We'll see if we'll see if it gets over the finish line. But I just have to. I feel you, Wolves. You have one of the best defenses as of right now, statistically speaking, in the league. Like Alex has said previously, Nathan Collins is really showing himself to be a phenomenal Premier League defender, and he's young. But they need to find, and they need to fine tune, and they need that striker, and they need to keep Raul Jimenez wrapped in bubble wrap and keep him healthy. But I feel for you, any Wolves fans out there. That just stinks, but we'll see what happens. But let's move on from the Prem.
True. Big window, Matheus. So, yes, I agree. Let's go with this. And Barca. Breton, I have a lot of questions to do, because Barca is giving the answers I was expecting. And Barcelona this season has 3 wins, 1 draw, and 0 losses. And that win against Sevilla, Lewandowski was going bold, Conte was going bold, and Khvicha was going bold. All new signings with Xavi ball were in tune. And I have highest expectations for Barca this season, and seeing them play the way they did. The fact that Jules Koundé got 2 assists, the first time ever in La Liga, that shows that he fully adapted, and he's perfect for the role that Xavi has in the team. That Xavi ball is real. And Ronald Araújo, I want to put it in the universe. I want to put it out. I fully believe Ronald Araújo will be the captain of Barcelona. He's got those intangibles. He is a born leader at the back. He's ruthless. So Conte and Ronald Araújo, this duo, I believe it's gonna be remembered in the history books. This is the start, people. So Barca fans, be excited, Hercules.
I'll admit, if the offense plays like that week in, week out, they're virtually unstoppable in La Liga. In Champions League, it remains to be seen, but at the same time, you're 100% correct. That Jules Koundé assist, particularly the one to Robert Lewandowski, floated over the center backs. Yes. He took it down perfectly. That was beautiful stuff. And I gotta say, I mean, I know. Regardless of how financially they've constructed their roster, okay?
Yes.
And against probably what everybody thinks.
And they weren't fined. They weren't fined for breaking the UEFA rules financially. Barcelona. Right. And 8 clubs were fined ahead of them. PSG, Marseille, Besiktas, Milan, Inter, and Juve and Monaco. All fined. Not Barca.
But regardless of all that stuff, because I still think we're going to get some more answers in the future, regardless, yes, I am super stoked to see a Super Classico that we can all be proud of, because it is going to be October 16th. If you haven't circled it already, that is the first time Real Madrid and Barcelona go head-to-head, and I am here for it. I am ready for it. I am not a Barca hater. I want to see it get fired up with different names, different people on the score sheet, and I'm ready, man. I'm ready. But elsewhere in La Liga,
but
while they were doing it,
but Xavi,
elsewhere they were.
But Xavi is yet to lose. Okay, with Barca, there's still things like Lewandowski. Okay, will he be the top scorer in La Liga for you, Breton? Now, Lewandowski.
It's hard to say after what he's got 5 goals in 4 games, correct?
In 3 games, 5 goals.
Okay, yeah, it's hard to say if he has every shot with the ability to do it, but I certainly am not going to count out Karim Benzema, who has 4 and 4 or 3 and 4, whatever the hell it is. I mean, Karim Benzema has shown he can do it. It just so happens that in their recent match this past weekend, it was Vinicius Jr. and it was Rodrigo that picked up the slack, with Tchouaméni looking phenomenal. Yeah, looking phenomenal in that midfield. So if you're worried about Casemiro leaving, I don't think you have to be anymore. I do think that, as both of us agreed, it's going to be Benzema, Tchouaméni, hell, maybe Iago Aspas, 35 years old and still scoring a heck load of goals. That's not even a word. He's scoring so many goals, and he had 1 against Real Madrid. 5 goals in 4 games for him. Don't count him out at 35 years old. But in the end, do I think it's going to be Lewandowski? No, you can probably count him out. But hold on. He's been aging like fine wine, and just because he doesn't play for Barca, just because he doesn't play for Real Madrid, he has not gotten the love he probably deserves.
I agree.
He had 24 goal involvements last season, 27 the year before that. That isn't, Lewandowski. It is not Benzema numbers, but Iago Aspas is off to a fine start at 35 years old. I just had to shout him out there. But in the end, I still think Benzema is going to beat Lewandowski at the top. But maybe for goal contributions or goals all across the competitions, it's hard to see here. It's hard to see.
There's a lot to talk, and let's start with Real. So on that end, and on Tchouaméni, I completely agree that Casemiro wasn't felt on that pitch, and Tchouaméni was the most complete player on the pitch. He did it all. The engine of Real Madrid, and I fully believe now Tchouaméni, no doubts, will start for France in the World Cup, especially after we see all that Pogba stuff that we can mention afterwards. But Tchouaméni is showing himself that he's proven 100 million is what I am worth. And Casemiro's gone. So you need that player for 5, 6, 7 years. And Tchouaméni is that guy, in my opinion. The difference. And Vinicius Jr. Vinicius Jr., just like Rafael Leão, that we will mention in the future, Vinicius is improving a lot his style of play. And for that, we got to mention the finishing's better. The one-on-one is much better. And as a player, he's more mature too, Vinicius. And having Rodrigo seeing the development of Vinicius just makes life much better in the future, the expectations for Real Madrid fans with Brazil. So I agree, let's wait and see on Vinicius Rodrigo, but Rodrigo still has to prove, okay, more, not as much as Vinicius, in my opinion. So let's wait and see. But I wanted to say on the Barca side, sorry, Xavi is yet to lose, okay, in 17 away games, okay? This is a mad stat, in my opinion, and shows how well he knows his squad. And I want to say just last thing on Barca. On my end, it's, I think in the Champions League biggest games, I don't know if Pedri and Gavi should start at the same time. Because I think the best Pedri is right now without Gavi. And the best Gavi is without Pedri right now, okay, at 18 and 19. But in 2-3 years' time, the best of themselves might be together. But I agree, they're showing moments that they might need a Frankie there instead. Yeah. So it's good that he stayed.
Yeah, it is good that he stayed. It is good that he stayed. I'm not entirely sure how we were making all that fuss about their finances, and then Frankie winds up staying. Memphis Depay winds up staying too.
But Aubameyang gone. He had to go though.
But like 14 million. That's all they got from that perspective. But his wage bill definitely. Anyway, and Braithwaite. Good luck. He's going to stay in La Liga, so that'll be interesting.
A lot of players went out of Barca.
Coutinho.
That wage bill.
That wage bill is getting smaller.
Balde. Left back. Like, how good is Balde at 18? And I fully expect to see Marcos Alonso that believes in Barca and Bellerin, proud fullbacks that will represent Xavi ball too. So excellent 2 fullback signings. Bellerin, man, please show those levels, that mad speed that you have, man. I just hope, man, no injuries in Barca. Just go bold, Bellerin, please.
Well, like, I have hit my Barcelona positive comment limit. Okay, so we probably have to move on. Just like I think I've already hit, even though we haven't spoken about it, I've hit my daily limit for talking about witchcraft and who did what in that whole Pogba scenario. I don't even really want to talk about it, but if you want to talk about it at the end, we can talk about it. But I think we should probably move on to Serie, where, I don't know, maybe somebody heard my predictions in that it's going to be really, really tough for AC Milan to repeat. But if AC Milan continue to play as they've been playing, the Rossoneri could definitely repeat. And if Rafael continues to play the way he's playing, they will obviously be in contention for the Scudetto again. Unbelievable.
Rafael, man, 2 goals and 1 assist, okay, against Inter de Milan. They needed a man to show up, and he just did. The hip movement of Rafael this season just shows the off-season work he did. Rafael put mad work in the gym. You can see it. He's more than just a footballer. He is an athlete. And these are the levels, okay, that I expect the future after Cristiano Ronaldo here in Portugal. So I'm mad proud of what Rafael is doing at AC Milan. The best player in Serie right now. No one can stop Rafael, and he feels it. Keep on going. And AC Milan has been bought now for 1.2 million by Red Bird Capital Group that has Drake and LeBron James, okay, in that capital investment group. So just get that extension of Rafael and make a song, man. Drake, put a mention of Rafael in the song, man. I'm sure it would go bold because he deserves something like that. So, Rafael, keep doing your thing, man. And show up in the Champions League with the Catalar. You will!
And here's the thing, and you kind of glossed over it. You said who they played. But for those of you that weren't able to catch it, Rafael this past weekend did not score his goals against Monza. He did not score his goals against Salernitana. He scored his goals against Inter Milan in the Milan derby, okay? And that, in and of itself, tells me that he has arrived, that he has stepped it up a notch. Because if you look at last year, if you look at his season last year, right, it can really all be condensed down into those last 10, 15 games. And he has picked up exactly where he left off, and it doesn't matter who he's playing against. So I agree with you, whether it's the work he's done in the or it's Yeah, the offseason, or it's the positivity around potentially, we're hearing good things about him potentially getting a new long-term lucrative deal, and whether or not that's to raise his value when the time comes to sell him off, or it's literally to keep him around as a 23-year-old to make him the core of your future, you could do that. But yes, with Redbird Capital having come in, with new partners within that, with that $1.2 billion plus valuation, AC Milan is looking on the up and up. They continue to do the right things business-wise, and I'm excited.
I'm excited. Maldini, man. That capital group should just give the funds to Maldini and keep doing what you're doing. Because even against Prem teams that have more money than anyone on earth, they still manage to steal the Quetzallar and bring in quality with Origi and keeping Giroud. So I have high expectations still for Milan that is showing emotion. This is very important too. I see the emotion with Milan. I see the players wanting to see it with Milan. And that is football heritage right there with AC Milan. So let's hope that Rafael gets that extension and yes, proves himself in Serie A. But he has to be the most well-paid player in Serie A. 100% Rafael. He cannot be receiving any dime less than any Juve player if he stays in Serie A. So those are my expectations for this contract extension. And Rafael, keep going bold in my opinion. But yes, if we stay in Serie A, we got a player that just arrived and keeps on scoring those mad goals. And that is Khvicha Kvaratskhelia, okay? That has 4 goals and 1 assist, Kvaratskhelia. And any doubters, okay, that Mertens and Insigne are leaving, Napoli's not going to be the same. Khvicha Kvaratskhelia is showing that is not the case. And he is now definitely one of the best wingers in Serie A, and he's just arrived, the Georgian winger. So,
and how he's scoring his goals too.
Yeah, man.
How he is scoring his goals. He's so direct that Serie A defenders just don't know what the heck to do. And he is not afraid to just ping a ball. He top binned it. And he's just scoring. He did not have his best of games this last game, and yet he was effective. He was on the score sheet. He did what he had to do for Napoli to win. And yeah, I mean they've hit it out of the park so far with their signings, and they've all been just uber effective from day one. So Napoli is not going to let AC Milan just take the Scudetto again. It's going to be pretty tough at the top there. And Inter Milan needs to figure out what the heck they want from themselves because Lautaro, Lukaku, okay. It just defensively they haven't looked as solid as they have in the past. So
Lukaku didn't play, so it's like, you know what I mean? Right. Like, so for me, the doubts it's how good is this squad in general? Should they have sold Inter one of their stars at the back like Milan Skriniar and Bastoni and maybe reinforce some better strikers? I don't know, man. I see Roma, they got Belotti and Dybala. Those two would have been great maybe to be right now at Inter Milan against AC Milan. So there is doubts. There is doubts. Yeah, I agree.
But you know who Kvaratskhelia and Napoli play next, right?
Who?
Liverpool.
Liverpool. Oh, yes,
Here we go.
That is going to be an elite matchup, okay? And that is going to be a big answer that we're going to get with Kvaratskhelia. But Napoli too, man. Like they're like the kryptonite of Liverpool in the Champions League. What?
It really remains to be seen. We also need to do you agree that we need to see a little more out of Darwin Núñez? Not to go back.
Fuck. No. But it's true. We do need to see. Now we could go with strike forces. Vlahovic is showing up. Juve ain't showing up. But Darwin, I agree with that. He needs to show more, especially when Firmino is doing the games he is. Like, we have doubts with Darwin. Can he get to that stage? But I believe he will.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to say it right now. I think Victor Osimhen is going to have a big game against Liverpool. I think he's going to have a big game. And I'm okay if he winds up not having one and I get dragged in the comments. But, if I say it enough, I hear it comes true. So Victor Osimhen, put a little money on him on Wednesday. I think he's going to do okay. But not surprisingly, Serie A with just a phenomenal weekend. Again, the fixtures. Just a whole lot of fun to watch.
Yes.
And the fact that Napoli, after making those signings, after saying goodbye to as many, you already referenced this, as many legends as they said goodbye to,
Yes.
it is great to see other names, new names, fresh names come into the mix and really make them interesting again. And shout out to Min Jae Kim, the center back replacing Kalidou Koulibaly, getting his first goal. That's not something I think anyone expected. So I'm loving the new names on the list on the score sheet, and we'll see what Serie has to give us and how they do in the Champions League this year.
True. And my last shout is Betu, man. Betu has 2 goals, in Serie A, and let's wait and see if he keeps on developing at Udinese. And Rafael had 100 games, for AC Milan in Serie A. So, yes, he's been there for a long time. It seems short, but he's developing at a steady pace at Milan. And, yes, the right decision to go to AC Milan by Rafael.
He has put that rocky part of his early days, his early professional career. He's put that rocky part behind him, and he looks just like a man driven to continue to prove himself at AC Milan. So we're also very happy to see that materialize.
With what you said there, a man that has a past, I want to mention this player because I have to give a shout out to him. That is Gabigoal, is the youngest player ever in Brasileirão history to get to 100 Brasileirão goals. Gabigoal, legend of Flamengo. And let's wait and see what he's going to do the rest of this Brasileirão season. But great stat by him. At 26 to 100 goals in Brasileirão. I just wanted to put that one out there.
But if you're speaking of legends, and again, this is a tangent going back to La Liga, we do have to shout out Iñaki Williams. It was almost 100% that everybody thought that he was going to give up and end his record of 236 consecutive La Liga appearances. He sprained his ankle, and sure enough, who trots out in the starting 11 over the weekend for Athletic Bilbao?
Iñaki Williams.
Built from something different, apparently. And he makes it 237 games in a row, 5.5 years or so of not missing a La Liga fixture or not starting in a La Liga fixture. So kudos to him. I only hope he's not playing on a bummed ankle, but Iñaki Williams is built from something different. That's for sure.
Just to have it, the 2016 April 20th was the last match that Iñaki Williams didn't start for Athletic Bilbao. So yes, 237. How is that possible? Nico, go bold, man, like your brother Iñaki, man. Because, that's an underrated legend. Muniain, Bernat when he was at Bilbao, and Iñaki Williams, man. Great teams, man. Against Man United, you remember in the past? Oh, yes. Like, that was levels too, man. So, good to see them going bold. So
imagine if your older brother is like the Iron Man of Athletic Bilbao. Like, you could say, go as bold as your brother, and he's going to be like, does that mean I have to play 237 consecutive La Liga games in order to just meet his standard? There's no way in hell that's ever going to happen for him. But Nico Williams is great in his own right, and I think he'll make his own path. Right? What do you think?
That's mad. Nico, I just hope, man. So, just let's wait and see. But last shout here in the podcast on my end, I gotta shout what Luis Campos and PSG are doing, I gotta shout out this transfer because in all the deadline day, this wasn't talked enough, in my opinion. And the biggest problem of PSG last season was the midfielders. And it is no more. By Luis Campos getting two underrated signings at midfield, in my opinion, with Carlos Soler and Renato Sancho. Vitinha is a big-time player, but Renato by getting Renato and Soler, those are two slept moves. Soler at Valencia is so slept, man. He should play for the Spanish national team when he does. And at PSG, he's going to show those levels at the club. And Luis Campos, great, just getting started. And the amount of players, Icardi, Kurwaza, so much players that didn't do anything at the club.
Rafinha.
Oh, Wijnaldum. Like all the bad decisions of the past, no more with Luis Campos, and the best decisions in the future. Champions League football, Champions League title on the way, maybe with Luis Campos. So
they got Juve first, so it'll be a nice stern test for them. But hey, shout out to Nuno Mendes for his first PSG goal, right?
The Nunes, my first goal, man. Love to see it. He deserves it. He's creating those goals and now scoring them at PSG. The start of a world-class career with Nunes. Keep on going.
All right. Well, if we're doing Wonderkid shout-outs now, I gotta bring it down. You mentioned Gabigoal. I'm mentioning the future of the Brasileirão and likely the future of La Liga.
True.
For those of you that have forgotten the name Endrick over the last few months, when it was getting beaten into our heads daily with highlight reels, and he scored this many goals, and he was lifted up on a shoulder, and he made it look like he was Pele back in the 1950s, right? But Endrick has not stopped scoring goals. He has 90 goals, 4 assists in 24 games for the U17s and the U20s of Palmeiras. And at the same time, he literally just turned 16 years old. He just turned 16. So he's doing it levels above what he should be doing it in a very competitive youth rank. Okay? So I think it's only a matter of time before probably this winter when the transfer chatter comes in again, and it's going to be likely a battle of Real Madrid, or who knows, Barcelona might have a 753rd lever that they can pull in order to bring Endrick into their world. But I had to mention Endrick because he has not disappeared. He is still scoring goals, and he is doing so with regularity, and he is looking every bit the future of Brazilian football. But he's 16. Give him time. Let him mature. And I think we're going to see an even better player in the near future.
I love that shot to Endrick. And 16, you mentioned. You got to remember, everyone listening to this pod about Endrick. Fuck Abel Freire. Play this kid, okay? And I want to give last 1 minute Lamine Yamal, okay? There's a lot of chit-chat right now in the Barca camp that this kid is the future best player in La Masia right now, okay?
Yep.
And Xavi is a big fan of this 15-year-old that we'll be seeing in the youth league this season. Lamine Yamal, people, remember the name. And he's trained with the first team today at 15 years old. So those are the expectations.
He is a very good footballer at this age. I do envision him making his debut at some point in the next year. But speaking of debuts, I have 2 more things for you. Yes. One thing is another name with a little bit of a milestone, with a name you might remember, but Anderlecht, we know, always gives opportunities. Yes. They give plenty of opportunities to young players, okay? We talked about several of them earlier in this podcast. They just gave an opportunity to Julian Duranville, a winger, 16 years old. You ready for this? He is the youngest. He scored 6 minutes after he came in. He is the youngest player to score for Anderlecht since a certain player named Romelu Lukaku. So you got to remember his name just from that association. And Anderlecht is going to continue likely to give him opportunities moving forward because they're not afraid to in the Pro League. And then the last thing I just have to say, and this is to end things on my end in a very heartwarming note. You might know in the past we've talked about some of the Fulham products, okay? Yes. We know where Fabio Carvalho has wound up. There's another player, Jay Stansfield, who recently made his Premier League debut, and then he was sent on loan to a certain Exeter City, okay? Now, why am I telling you this, okay? He went to Exeter City for a very incredible, familial, nostalgic purpose, okay? He's going on loan there to score goals, one, but also he's going over to take over his father's number 9, retired number 9 number, because about 12 years ago, his father, while playing striker for Exeter City, scoring goals a lot for Exeter City, unfortunately came down with cancer, a very aggressive type of cancer, and he passed away within 4 months, 5 months of finding out that he even had it. They named a stand at Exeter City for him. They retired the number 9, and they have since unretired the number 9 so that Jay Stansfield, his son, 12 years later, could don it for him. How cool is that story?
What a legacy, man, that is. And rest in peace, man. And that is pressure on him, but it's the right pressure. Because what a reason, man, to perform for a club. Exeter,
Absolutely.
man. You are lucky to have him. On loan, too. They play League 3. Exeter. Or
Yeah, I think they might be as high as 1 now, but they're definitely League 2. They're right above. They're in one of those.
Sorry. When I say League 3, it's like 3rd division here in Portugal. I'm sorry, okay? So yes, people,
okay.
League 1 football. But yes, let's wait and see what Jay Stanfield has to do. And big, great story, Bretson, right there. And if you're listening to us until now, do not forget to like this podcast. It's a huge help. And follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and we are now on Apple Podcasts too. So make sure you get a follow on those 3 platforms. Thank you for listening until now, FC Wonderkid community. And thank you for going bold on a weekly basis, community. Take care.